And we are live. Welcome to the channel. My name is Kubeir, and I'm streaming live from a very short holiday that I decided to take last minute. And we are in the beautiful city of Sault Ste. Marie. And it has been such a pleasure being here. I actually arrived here last night, woke up late in the morning, didn't expect to wake up that late. And then I realized, oh my God, we had to do this weekly roundup, which some of you managed to remind me of. So thankfully, we had already put the presentation together, and here we are doing this from my humble hotel room in Sault Ste. Marie. Welcome to the channel. And today's video, as what we usually do on Saturday mornings or sometimes on Sunday mornings, is all about the weekly roundup, the things that have happened in the Canadian immigration processes, news, updates, something that keeps you, going and understanding what's happening. So let's quickly go through what we have in our presentation, and then we will discuss a bit more. Well, starting as usual with the quote of the week. Few things in the world are more powerful than a positive push, a smile, a word of optimism and hope. As you can do it when things are tough is all that you need sometimes. So if you have that sorted in your life, trust me, my friends, you will have pretty much everything else sorted in your life. Canadian Immigration Weekly Roundup, and the topics that we will discuss today would be the latest provincial nomination or nominee news, the Quebec news, the IRCC updates, and anything else that has happened in Canada in the last week. Starting with the provincial nominee program, the first up is Ontario, where they have amazingly issued invitations to 995 workers and international students under their PNP draws. 406 were invited under the foreign workers stream program, where the minimum score was 37. 523 were invited under the general draw, that was also under the international student stream, where they needed a score of 61. And then they issued 66 invitations to candidates who were registered under the regional immigration pilot program. So just the way you have RNIPs, so the Ontario has a specific regional pilot program. That's where they invited 66 candidates. And they also then had 72 workers who were invited under their in-demand skills. So, plenty of nominations for people who are a bit, caught up as to what do you mean by all these streams that have happened out there. Well, to give you a bit of an indication, these streams require that you basically would have had a job offer in most cases from an employer in Canada, and you would be eligible to apply under that. Your employer also has to be eligible. So it just cannot be any employer. In most cases, you will not need an LMIA, but your employer has to be eligible to make you this job offer, because the employer will also have to complete certain forms that will have to go as part of your application. So this is always a very important criteria, but it does give a lot of students who are studying, working in Ontario, an option for permanent residency by way of this provincial nomination. Okay, moving on. Then we have, okay, what else have we got here? Let's see. British Columbia also did their tech draw. They conducted their tech draw. 74 people were invited with a minimum score of only 80. And so far in 2021, British Columbia has invited more than 806,000 invitations, or rather they have sent out more than 8,600 invitations, which is also great news. You see this. So there is always something or the other happening in the background. What is not included here, obviously, and before I move on, so what is not included here and basically comes under the provincial nominee program, the reason why it is not included here is because it hasn't been published. But Alberta also did conduct a draw, though they haven't announced the details of the draw. And Alberta also has again sent out several invitations. Lots and lots of people were invited. Again, as Alberta normally does, they never give you any indication of who they've invited, what exactly was the criteria. So once that information, that information is never published. So again, people who do receive it, congratulations to them. In Quebec news, we have, the Quebec Again, for people who do not know, Quebec has a separate immigration program. It is not the same as your regular immigration programs. It is absolutely separate. And under this program, oops, sorry, let's get this out. So under this program with Quebec, they are, usually you will apply under the Arima portal, and with the Arima portal you will be able to get invitations, something similar to express entry. But earlier what was happening is that if you were eligible to apply for permanent residence through Quebec, you were not eligible to apply for a bridge open work permit. Now that change has also been incorporated. Henceforth, if you are eligible or you have received your CSQ and you are eligible to apply hold on, under the Quebec immigration program, you will then be able to apply for your bridge open work permit. What other IRCC important updates do we have here? Well, obviously, the biggest update that happened over the last week was the very exciting. Initially, what Canada, first there was no information at all about the direct flight resumptions or direct flight ban from India, and then just at the last minute, just few hours before the ban was supposed to expire on the 21st of September, Canada announced that they were going to extend the ban by 6 days, which is until the 26th of September. So thereby, from 27th of September, the direct flights from India to Canada will resume. So there is no problem with that anymore. However, considering at this point of time, the direct flights are only starting from or rather the direct flights are only from Delhi. Therefore, there is this additional requirement of the negative PCR test that you need to take, and this should be taken only from the specific laboratory that has been identified. This laboratory is now situated at the Delhi airport. I think it's the Terminal 3 in the parking area, and you will need to take this test within the 18 hours before you depart from Delhi. Anybody who is taking an indirect route, so for example, even if you depart from Delhi but not on a direct flight to Canada, you will need to take an RT-PCR test from a third country wherever you are transiting from, because the requirement of this gene strings laboratory test is not for those flights which are not coming to Canada directly. All right. So if you are choosing to fly indirectly to Canada, even if it is from Delhi or from any other port in India, you will need to take an RT-PCR test in the third country before you depart finally for Canada. So please bear that in mind before you book your flights, because a lot of people are still quite confused about this. Another update that happened is that parents and grandparents lottery draws have started being issued. So starting this week, Canada started issuing out invitations to the sponsors who had earlier in 2020 submitted their expressions of interest to sponsor their parents. So that is a great news. A total of 30,000 invitations will be sent out. This is in extension, this is in continuation of the program that has that was initially announced a few years back. So last year they invited 10,000 people, and they did make a promise that they will allow 30 more thousand people next year, which was 2021, and then they have gone and done that. Whatever, I mean, the only issue here is that people who wanted to create their expressions of interest, they haven't been given the opportunity this year. So anybody who created the expressions of interest last year in 2020 would be eligible to get their invitations in this particular draw. And in other news, what do we have in other news? Voila! Liberals, I mean, I do not know if you still don't know about this, but then Liberals have won the elections yet again. So 2021, they are still forming a minority government, and there has been absolutely no change except for one or two odd seats here and there. Again, Liberals have got a minority government. They are still they didn't get what they wanted. They spent $600 million to come to exactly the same result what was earlier before the elections. And they would again not have a majority mandate, and therefore they will not have a free hand in making the decisions that they wanted to make. They will always have to rely on parties like NDP, which is headed by Jagmeet Singh, or Bloc Québécois, which is headed by Blanket. And with all these situations, they will always have to rely on an opposition another party. What does this mean for election? What does this mean for Canadian immigration? Well, first thing, I am really hoping to see some changes because, to be very honest, what was happening all this while, there was not much of a change happening in the sense like everything had come to almost a standstill. We were not getting clear updates. Federal skilled worker draws have not happened. FSW draws obviously have not happened. COPRs are still being held back. I mean, we were expecting that the chunk would start flowing, but that has still been held back. Though we always said that fourth quarter is when we expected, but that clear communication hasn't come forth. Uh, yes, we do expect that end of October is, or probably early November is when we will see the new 2022-2024, the 3-year plan for immigration for the next 3 years will definitely be announced, and that would be tabled. I don't expect any numbers to be reduced, any immigration numbers. On the contrary, I expect to see, as they have been aggressive about the immigration quotas, to be improving. But I do expect that with the way liberals have gone about doing the things in the whole of last year, I do expect them to be giving more preference to people who are inside Canada. They have done that in the whole year 2021. They started doing that since the end, or rather mid of last year, when they started conducting CEC specific draws. I do expect that with the way they have made announcements before, with the way they have shown a trend of how they intend to conduct their business, that you may see uh, them being more, what's the right word? More leaning towards giving advantage to people who have, or rather who are inside Canada, whether it's under temporary foreign worker programs or whether as international students. So you would see a bit more of that. Not saying that hold the horses there. I'm not saying federal skilled worker program is being quashed. Please, there has been a lot of rumors about that, and we have already discussed that. Scrapping federal skilled worker program absolutely is illogical, doesn't make sense, because in the big scheme of things, they still intend to bring the best of whatever is required for the Canadian job market. Now, having said that, they would give preference to people, or that's at least my opinion, that they would, from the way things have looked in the past, that they may give preference to people who are inside Canada. That is not to say that people who are outside Canada will absolutely be overlooked. The programs will continue, but going ahead in future, as was tabled in the budget proposal, I do expect to see some changes. Though those changes will not happen anytime soon, I expect them sometime probably towards the mid end of next year, and that would probably be linked with the new knock changes that are also anticipated to come in the year 2022. And you would see some more stricter selection criteria being applied by and large, so that Canada can get to choose who they want to based on the labor market priorities. As of right now, obviously I don't want to cause any panic or such, but there is nothing specific to indicate something of that to happen. It's just an opinion based on the trends, based on how they have conducted business so far. Considering knock 2021 changes are 2022 changes are coming, the knock moniker is knock 2021, so the changes will apply next year, from mid or later part of next year. And the fact that it was tabled, or it was proposed in the budget, that the minister wanted a bit more discretion, not a bit more, but a seriously more discretion in choosing the profiles specific to the labor market priorities. So considering, if you add all of these things, it sort of gives you an indication that the program is looking to be changed. But in order for the program to be changed, lots of other changes will need to be made first, because in IRPA, which is Immigration Refugee Protection Regulations, and IRPA, Immigration Refugee Protection Act, there is a specification laid out in terms of how the selections will be made. So first, the changes will have to be made to the law and to the act and to the regulations, then to the ministerial instructions, and that is when it will happen. So obviously everybody will have enough information, enough notice before anything of that sort happens. So while you're waiting, and while you have a chance, an opportunity to either improve your scores, add French if you can, or if you can grab any of the PNP programs, even if your score is at the higher level, even if it's at the top level, and you're thinking, should I take an invitation that I get or not? Well, just take it, just grab it. Don't wait, because all of this at this point of time is looking extremely shaky. We do not know which way this whole this whole tower is going to go leaning towards, and so if you get an invitation, if you get something which is more promising, more sturdier, more a definitive pathway towards your journey, then most definitely take it. What else have we got here? I think that's just about it. Yes, you're most welcome to connect with us on social medias, on our website. I mean, on the website there is only blogs, but yeah, do keep reading those. And on the social media, please follow us for all different things that we do. Well, that's as far as the presentation goes. Thank you for joining that. And people are already smoking something, so we don't know what that is about, so we'll skip that for the time being. Okay, first question first. Dinesh Ramnani says CBSA notes versus GCMS notes, which is better? Well, that depends on what do you intend to find out with your application. CBSA notes is only going to talk about your security and background checks. Your GCMS notes will give you more about your eligibility, your criminality, your documentation, and what's happening with your different validities. So you need to figure out what you need to understand from your application in order to be applying for those notes. Mutin says, I have received my ITA in November 2020, completed my medical and biometrics 21. When can I expect my PPR? Request you to take my question today. Well, I honestly don't know. And the reason why I don't know is because the whole thing with how and when they will finalize the applications is out there in the unknown. It's out there in the universe. Yes, we have started seeing the trickle. The trickle is already there. It's obvious. If you go any social media platforms, any social media groups, WhatsApp, Facebooks, etc., you will see plenty of people already sharing information that they have started receiving passport requests. So we know that the movement has started. When it will start snowballing, when will they start coming out with the chunks that we have been expecting, I really won't know. And what format are they going to process? I mean, are they going to do FIFO as in first in, first out? Again, it all depends on which visa office has your application. What are their processing background backlogs and timelines? What kind of protocols they are following? How soon and how fast they will be able to release their passport batch releases? There are so many variables when a passport request query comes in. So I honestly don't know. I'm hoping majority of the backlogs, I expect them to be cleared by the fourth quarter, and I'm hoping then you will get that done as well. Ajay says, is it as excuse me, is it advisable to withdraw spouse open work permit, apply for tourist visa, considering they're getting processed faster? Okay. I have made a total of 8 applications since the 7th of September for different clients. Some of them were people who had applied for spouse open work permit through us, and they obviously have been waiting for this process to be completed, and they didn't want to wait any longer. So we went ahead and applied for visit visas. Well, the good thing is that if your application has a credible explanation as to why does the person we need to come to Canada on an urgent basis, whether it's family unification, we have seen that applications are getting processed faster. The fastest approval or the process outcome that I received was within 8 days. The longest so far has between 12 to 13 days. So I can see the results happening very, very fast. Of the 8 applications we submitted, we got 4 approvals, we got 1 refusal. 3 we are still waiting outcome, but then they haven't gone into the 12th day, 14th day period yet. So you can expect within 2 weeks the results to come. Now, what is happening is that if you have a spouse open work permit application in process and you apply for a visit visa, your visit visa will still be applied. Your spouse open work permit application may continue, will continue. It will get approved whenever they do decide to take a look at that particular application and then give you a decision based on whenever they have finalized that application. So if you get so what you can do here in this case, you've applied for spouse open work permit. Now you want to apply for a visit visa application. Let's say you get your visit visa approved. The person comes to Canada. The spouse open work permit application is still in progress. In the meantime, if you get the approval for spouse open work permit, then at the port of entry, you can request the visa officer by showing them the approval or the port of entry letter to issue the open work permit. Okay, that's absolutely possible. If the person arrives in Canada and then you get the approval for open work permit, then you can write to IRCC and ask them to mail or process your port of entry letter and mail you the work permit. Once you get the work permit, you will then be able to start working. You cannot start working until you get the approved open work permit. Keep that in mind. Third option would be flag polling. IRCC has discouraged flag polling. However, I know from several people that who have made the trip down to the border, they were able to secure, the outcome from the flag polling. So the third option would be that depending on when the information comes that flag polling is absolutely fine, or you can always call the CBSA port of entry office at the nearest uh, Canada US border and check with them if they will accept a flag poll application. If yes, then your spouse with the port of entry, or even if your spouse open work permit is not yet approved, the fact that she or he is in Canada and you have the required documentation to prove that the person is eligible for work permit, the person can go to the border and apply for the open work permit there. They will be issued depending on the documentation and criteria. So these are the three options that you have in mind, and you can get all of that. Uh, Sid says, do I get extra points if my spouse can eat pizza with chutney and dal? Well, I don't know about the extra points, but watch out for the upset stomach. That could be an issue there. IRCC or Canadian government has a right to do when what they feel is right for them. However, they owe an explanation to applicants in, and flight bans. Can we sue them for negligence, lack of communication? Well, I don't think you can sue them because when you say owe them, well, that is a question which has caused a lot of debate in the past, and I don't want to get into that particular debate. Owing anybody anything is something which becomes very, very subjective. All right. Now, if IRCC had very clearly stated that this is your right and we owe this to you, or these are the principles under which you can expect this to happen for sure, it was a different thing. At any point of time, even in this particular case, the writ of mandamus can also not be applied because this is not something that was not affected by pandemic. Uh, they did suffer a lot based on the pandemic. Yes, they definitely not could have, they should have had handled this properly. They should have managed this properly. They definitely not. I mean, for whatever reason, we are a first world country. Apparently we should have had a better handle on things, apparently, but obviously we don't, right? So that's a big question mark. And no doubt that it has raised several questions on their credibility, several questions on their work ethics. Very recently there was another racial bias information that has also come out, racial bias news article which came out about IRCC offices. So not something which is very pleasant, and they definitely owe everybody what do you call as a transparent communication. That is something which they owe, not because of the process. They owe as basic civil ethic, as a basic. I mean, you are expecting hundreds and thousands of people to make an application, but you will not come out and give them even a basic answer to a simple question. That is honestly not nice. Because of that particular factor, that they do not come out and give an answer out in the open, not even an explanation. Okay, just very simple brief, what exactly is going on, what people can do in terms of timeline, just that very small information or communication, that would have helped so many. But as far as suing them is concerned, I mean, I personally think no, you can't. Under this particular pretext you can't. But yeah, I mean, I am not legally authorized to give you that kind of an advice. So yeah, by all means do speak to a lawyer and see if you have a case there. But I'm sure they will also guide you otherwise. uh, Raj says, I have 1 year experience in security supervisor. Should I keep going with it? Does it fall in knock B? Well, I don't know, Raj. What you need to do is you can go to the knock database, check their duties and responsibilities that you have, match it with the respective knock, and then check what the skill type for that particular knock is. And accordingly, then you can choose and decide whether you should continue or not. Okay, Skymoon token, thank you for the super chat. However, I don't see any question there. Linhares Mika says weekends are incomplete without your live stream. Keep up the good. Thank you for your faith. Thank you for your trust in whatever I do. I appreciate it very much. Uh, Mayor says they should give at least some priority to PNP outlands, as CC at the end holding applications is not serving the whole purpose of PNPs. Well, the reason why CECs are giving are were being given a priority versus PNP outland. First of all, inland outland, there is no legal term as inland outland. The application is an application. CEC, your Canadian experience class, and you are inside Canada. What that does for them is, because you are inside Canada, and because your work experience is Canadian or related to an employer in Canada, they can very quickly complete the eligibility checks. They can very quickly check the criminality and assessment checks and complete your application. Okay. Even when it comes to issuing a passport request, there is no passport request anymore. All they need to do is send you an email to check whether you are in Canada. If you are in Canada, all they need to send you is ECOPR and you are done. That completes the application. That completes one tick mark against the quota achieved for the landed immigrant, which as of right now they are desperate to, and they're running against time to get that quota sorted out. Now, same thing is not applicable when it comes to PNPs and people who are outside Canada. Several reasons. One, because it's a PNP means there is already a triage that is created, and you also need to check with the province the documentation that was submitted. Sometimes they will go back and check under what criteria was the person approved, and in that application that has been made for permanent residence, does it still exhibit that this person is willing to reside in that particular province? You will be surprised the kind of mistakes people make in their application. For example, they have been nominated by Ontario. Okay, all good. They have got the Ontario nomination, but when they're completing their express entry application, and when it asks them where would you like to reside, etc., they have chosen Vancouver, BC. All right, that is the application gone out of the window straight away. Okay, they don't realize they have made this mistake, but that's there. But it is not straight away refused. Right now they will go back to the province, check the documentation, then they will take this application. The program assistant will raise this as a review required. Then the visa officer, whoever is the senior visa officer who has to make a decision, will see it. They will need to see if they have to send a PFL or they have to make a decision. Every single person who is going to touch the application has a review queue. Now, depending on how long is the review queue, this application will keep getting parked or keep getting reviewed until a decision is made and communicated. But that's a case with an application where there's an error there. For a case where there is assessment or eligibility to be done, now you have CEC does not have a proof of fund requirement, right? So now comparatively, if you're a PNP or a federal skilled worker, there is a proof of fund requirement. So that is an additional assessment criteria for eligibility. In addition to that, your employment has to be assessed from a third party outside Canada. In some cases, they may be able to assess, they may not be able to assess, they may be able to check, not be able to check. Different criteria is established over there. Again, then the situation comes with criminalities and background checks. Because the person is inside Canada, to do the RCMP checks is much more easier for them than for the person who's outside Canada. And then finally, the fact of finalizing your applications. Earlier, because of all this COVID protocols, it was slightly more difficult for them because visa offices were closed. There were restrictions for post 18th March, etc. Now those are not there, but still the process of having to send your passport for stamping, getting it stamped, getting it returned, then being able to travel with all the restrictions, flight bans, travel restrictions, visa office restrictions, all of that in combination earlier was the explanation given by some communication was the reason why these were being delayed. As of right now, most of these explanations are already out of the window, so you would expect that they would also sort of pick up pace, and that is what we are seeing. Most of the applications who are receiving passport requests, most of them are people who are PNPs, people who have a nomination and who are outside Canada, and they are the ones who are getting the passport request. There have been few federal skilled worker outlands, as you say, as well, but largely it's been the PNPs. So the movement is there, but obviously it's not as snowballing effect as you would expect. But I hope we can see much more movement coming by the fourth quarter. Rohan Thomas, thank you for the super chat. Renewing passport soon. Passport address is a different state. Getting it from there is hard. Okay to change the address to the current address in the CA application will differ. I am confused with that question. All right. First of all, in your application, please mention the address correctly. They are not looking to check your passport address with your PR application address. If they have a question with your address, they can always ask you for those clarifications, but it's not a problem. What you do with your passport and your permanent address, because a lot of people in their passport, their addresses are different where they're actually residing. and that's absolutely fine. Mine is the same case. I mean, my passport address has always been different than where I've actually resided, and I have not seen that to be an issue at all. Indu Karthik says they have incorrect information about my son, did not process his expired COPR. Their record shows my son has landed with PR status. It's really stressful. Oh, okay. I'm not really sure what's happening here. Uh, okay, I can understand a bit of it. I can't understand a lot of it because there is no background information to make any intelligent understanding out of this particular question. The COPR has expired, but the system shows that the status is landed. I'm understanding that's what you're saying. Well, the first thing would be to obviously raise a web form. Then it would be to send an email to the respective visa office. And as much as you may not receive the desired response immediately, you should, I mean, I would not say send a web form or raise a web form repeatedly, but you should start addressing the web form to the attention of the program manager or the program director for that specific visa office, as long as you know who the visa office is. But I'm sure they will be able to resolve this. It has been a mess. I mean, I can't think of a much more. If any one of you can think of a better word than a mess, please share it with me, because I would like to use that word to call what is happening right now, because it's ridiculous what has been happening. People who are outside Canada, in spite of this of them saying that they're outside Canada, they were issued COPRs. People who are inside COPRs, they're being issued passport requests in some cases. In some cases, the dependents outside have been issued passport requests. The primary applicant inside Canada has not received the COPR. People are getting their COPRs with the wrong date of births, wrong names. One of them has got a PR card with the wrong picture. I don't know what exactly is going on, but it's a definitive mess. So if any one of you has a better word that I can use instead of mess, please share with me. I would like to sort of, get that satisfaction of using a much more deeper word than mess. Uh, I'm not sure what the reason is, because I think what has happened is that there has been a lot of firefighting. They've had to deal with so many new application processed. Okay, let's see, few words coming in. रायता फैला दिया. ये तो रायता भी नहीं फैलाया है, तो रायता भी अच्छा होता है, तो रायता भी नहीं फैला हुआ. Mismanage, no. Need something more. Disaster, no. This has been a disaster from a long time. I need something more deeper. Vandalism, no, man. That is such a civil, nice way of saying crap. Well, they have crapped all over the place, if that's what you want to call it. Well, regardless of whatever, one reason why I think it has become such a mess is because of mess or a crap or a vandalism or shambles, as somebody said, is because there were so many new processes that were brought in, right? Whole of last year you were seeing so many changes. The TR to PR, the postgraduate work permits being additional work permit expiry dates. That now the TR to PR are being given additional expiry dates, or can extend. The Quebec can now apply for bridge open work permit. The flag polling was stopped. You see, the flag polling being stopped means everybody had to apply inland, which again increased their workload. In various ways, they made so many new application types that it definitely created this mess or chaos or kachara or raita or whatever else we can call them. They had to deal with staff allocation, because there were some reports that were released through ATIP of to the number of staff that were not available. Okay, whether they were absent, whether because of COVID they could not come to the office. They had to have this work from home protocols where people were not really trained to do what they were required to do. The servers that they were using were not secure enough to relay confidential information. So it's a total mess in terms of they have assigned from different departments people to go into different departments to handle those application types now, without giving them proper understanding of how the resources to be have been managed. So the resource management went out of the window. Okay, that is one thing that we have understood from the different ATIP notes that people have shared by obtaining them. But from the way things have gone and the way things are being handled, that is what is very, very clear, is that there is a total chaos, there's a total mismanagement, there is a total disaster, if you want to call it. And though I sympathize with what your situation is, and I know it is frustrating to have your status showing as landed when you haven't even arrived in Canada, but all I can suggest to you is please keep raising a web form, address the email to program director or program manager, and until you get a response, keep raising that web form, probably after 1 week, 2 weeks, kind of a thing, so that you can have a more definitive, progressive way to get a resolution to your application. I'm sorry how this is happening, and I wish I could apologize on behalf of IRCC, but obviously I'm not the one to apologize, right? They should be the ones to come out and apologize to everybody whose lives have been put on hold and everything that has been missed. But I can only apologize on behalf of the system, and of which I'm a very minute uh, uh, spin wheel, and to say that this shouldn't be happening to anybody, and not only to you but for everybody else who's waiting for so many different processes to be completed, or for their processes to be mismanaged. This shouldn't be happening. So I'm sorry. Salil says, can I move my funds in a fixed deposit from savings bank account after receiving an OR? Yes, you can, as long as you keep the funds available. And if at all you are asked for it, you should be willing to and be able to provide that the funds are still with you, available with you. You've only moved them for the purpose of, fixing them, or maybe gaining some interest out of it. Abdul Kader says, confused state disorder and pathetic condition. Yes, I agree with you. Uh, why they are giving visitors visa to them who applied for TRV under postgraduate work permit? I'm not sure I understand that question very well. I mean, you're asking me why they are giving, because people have applied, and if they have a good application and there is a reason why they are applying to come to Canada, and they have been able to prove that, then they are going to be given that, right? Kazim Ali says, lately a lot of people have received GUs. Can you? I'm thinking, is it can you update? Probably. Okay. GUs stand for Ghost Updates. Now, I've explained this before. Now, the My CIC account that you all have, the GCKey account that you all have, has always been very restricted. What you see is the front end, right? The user interface that you have, and you can see that the options that are available over there, in terms of we are progressing your background check, we will let you know, or we don't need any documents from you at this point of time, or we are waiting for a so there are very few options that can be reflected in that particular statement. GCMS systems, global case management system, is, I won't say an ancient system, but it really needs to be upgraded. IRCC is upgrading the immigration systems. There was a budget proposal for $750 million to sort of be infused into technological advancement of the immigration systems, and already they are doing it. There are new portals being created. So Visit Visa application already has a new portal where you don't need to upload any form. So there is no IMM 1295, there is no IMM 5645 or 5707 or 5721s. None of these forms are there. You will simply complete and upload all the information on the application forms itself, and then you will simply, something what you do with Express Entry. There is no forms, right? So Ghost Updates is on the back end, on the GCMS. So GCMS system, what you see is the front end, the back end, when the visa officer is making any kind of changes, any kind of updates in your application, or has made any action in your application for which there is no corresponding update, for that there is no corresponding option to be reflected in your user interface or in your front end, that triggers a ghost update. That does not necessarily mean that an application is going to be finalized or it has reached the final stage. That is not what it means. It just means an action has been taken. Yes, it could also mean that the action that has been taken is the final step. So for a lot of people, they feel that ghost updates means that the PPR or the finalization is the next step or very close. I say any ghost update is good, because that means somebody has taken some action on your application. There has been some movement on your application, and hey, any movement is good movement, right? So that is what ghost updates mean. So if you're seeing a lot of people receiving ghost updates, that only means, I'm hoping, that there has been some movement on the back end, that more and more applications are now being looked at. More people are sort of trying to finish as much as possible, and I would be happy to see chunks of PPRs coming through or snowballing, hopefully from next quarter, next month, actually from next week onwards, hopefully. That's what I've been hoping for, that this quarter, the next coming quarter, starting from October onwards, we should start seeing much bigger batch releases of passports. uh, and whenever anybody would ask, again, logic or sense behind it, it's always been related to the travel restrictions. It has been related to all these vaccination statuses and all the other things related to what all was happening, which had in the first place created this big roadblock for the passport requests being issued. So with all of that being cleared, it's only logical at some point of time they will start releasing. So that's the reason why I'd always thought end of the year, fourth quarter, is something which should be more something you can look forward to for your passport requests or applications being finalized. Okay. Mika says, my documents were uploaded at the end of April this year. I got a PNP. How much longer will I have to wait? I'm from India. I should be expecting a delay. Well, again, the same thing. I don't really know which visa office is following what kind of FIFO. If are they following FIFO, first in, first out, or not, we don't know. There are several things that go into application processing. No two applications are same. Each application follows a different journey. Some applications obviously are processed faster than the others, and there are so many variables to that. So there is no specific or there is no direct answer to as to how long can you expect. As of right now, as you know, there are people who are waiting right from August, September of 2019. And yes, so you can only see with all that there is going to be some time before applications start coming through. Yagnesh, thank you for the super chat. A friend is waiting since 2018. There you go. Raised web forms, order GCMS, no luck, red flags in the application. What can be done? Well, nothing can be done as such per se. I mean, it's not like, and there are so many questions which come up as to what can I do to expedite my process. You can't do anything specific to expedite the process. Okay. The only thing that you can do is hope and pray that everything is fine, and while you are waiting for the processing to happen, you can only use your time, utilize your time in a better manner. But at this point of time, you can only sort of just hope and pray that yours get through faster versus later. But if your application is waiting since as you say 2018, uh, you have to figure out what exactly is going on. Is there some part of your application which is stuck for a different reason? You are saying there is the ordered GCMS, but you are saying but no lock. So I'm not sure what but no lock means you did not get the GCMS, or there are no red flags. And again, you're saying there are no red flags. Sometimes security can be a big issue. You might not notice it. If you are seeing S.15, S.16 top right hand corner, this corner of the GCMS notes, top right corner, then sometimes that is an indication that your application is gone for extensive security screening. So look for those kind of things. Probably sometimes those could also be causing a bit of a delay in your application processing. Lovenesh says, for new visitor visa applications, can we still use GCKey account or new IRCC portal has to be used? Well, you can use the GCKey, you can use the IRCC portal. I have used both, and in both the cases, I've found equal amount of response rate. But the GCKey that I use is the authorized representative portal account. It is not a GCKey account of an applicant, so I do not know if that is the same thing or not. In the sense, like, will it give you the same results or not? But I did notice on our Facebook group, somebody said that they did use the old GCKey account and they still got their outcome result within 8-10 days, kind of a thing. So I don't think at this point of time it's making a big difference. However, if you can use the IRCC new portal for visit visas, use that, because I have a feeling that I have a okay, this is again, there is no direct information to this. This is just an understanding of the fact that this new portal has a direct link in the sense of the artificial intelligence that is being used in certain visa offices to assess the applications. There is already a lot of discussion, there is already a lot of talk, there is already a lot of debate on how the artificial intelligence is being used and whether that is good for the entire system or bad for the entire system. I have a feeling the new portal system has in somehow being is somehow being picked up pretty quickly, because the system, the factors, the way the questions have been laid out in the new portal are pretty much what would have created factor points for the artificial intelligence system to pick out and sort of give a quick response, and throw a quick response. Because I know after 7th of September there are lots of people who have created new applications, people who had previous applications, people who also created a new application because they thought, okay, 7th September everybody can travel, so let's make an application. But in spite of all that, the system is still able to pick out only those applications which show a clear relationship to the fact that they need to travel at this point of time because of close family member or because of urgent travel reasons. So based on these factors, if you are one of them, then you will be picked up. So if you're asking me, should you use this or that, if you can, if you think it's possible for you, then use the new portal account. If you think it's too complicated or you cannot understand and what's going on there, so you're happy doing the old one, then go with the old one. But in both cases, I am seeing equal response rates. I think going forward, you will see a better response rate with the new system than with the normal GCKey. Okay. Oh, I've lost my screen. Hold on for a minute. Yeah. So forgive me when I'm a bit, jumpy here at this point of time, because I'm not used to doing my live in the way I'm doing right now, because my normal setup is quite different. Tarun Arora, thank you for the super chat. I have received Ontario nomination. Can I add my spouse as accompanying an express entry profile? CRS will be 444 plus 600 with accompanying spouse. You can write to Ontario. You can let them know that you wish to add your spouse, and if they agree, in most cases they will agree, and if they do agree, then you can add your spouse and you can continue with your application. What लगा दिया process की? बिल्कुल लगा दिया, खतरनाक लगा दिया. I mean, okay, yeah, this was one question I was hoping wouldn't come, but obviously, how can we not action? Federal skill draws this year. My CRS is 478. Any hope of okay. I was hoping and praying and have been speculating that federal skilled worker draws or all program draws would start from the third quarter. Third quarter is coming to an end in exactly 5 days from now. So I have that one last hope and pray, which would be the next Wednesday, which would be, I think, 29th of September, for that one, for my what's that word? Hey, Bhagwan, very large rakh le, that kind of thing. But I don't see any reason why they are still holding back on the draws. There is no logic. There is no sense, because earlier, if they were saying we were trying to give a preference to those people because people from outside cannot travel, well, all that has gone out of the window. There is no such requirements, no such restrictions anymore. So why they would not be holding an all program draw is beyond my understanding. Honestly, my logic fails. My sensibility fails around this particular question, because I do not have any answer to this. Do I expect the federal skilled worker draws this year? As I said, I've been expecting the third quarter, which is ending in 5 days. So if it is still going to happen, not going to happen, when it's going to happen, your guess is as good as mine. I will obviously every single Wednesday, every single week, I will keep hoping, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm forever hopeful, and I haven't learned in my life to have any other thought but to be hopeful. Even in the darkest and worst times of my life, I have always felt forever hopeful, because that's the only way to go. So because I feel that way, I look forward to something like that happening, something more promising happening every week. Mind you, there are also thousands of people praying that the all program draws don't start, and those are the Canadian experience class candidates, right? Because they have now gotten used to the lower scores and they are able to get their invitations. So there are prayers going from both sides. There are prayers going from Canadian experience class, there are prayers going from federal skilled worker class, who are saying that the draws should happen. I'm of the opinion that even if the government wants to give preference to the Canadian experience class, which fair enough, do it. Firstly, communicate and make it clear so that the people out there can devise their strategy. They can plan, they can figure out what they want to do, how they want to do. That's the first thing. Secondly, I would say alternate it, right? I mean, give people who have been waiting for such a long time, give them an opportunity, because that is what you have promoted All right, I won't say promised, but that's what you have promoted. When you have promoted an express entry system, when you have promoted a federal skilled worker draw, and you have not come out and said that program is closed, or this program we are suspending, or this program we are not taking any more applicants, when you haven't come out and said that, that basically means you are still continuing to promote that program. And if you are doing that, then the least you can do is at least either communicate, number one, or two, at least give that program class an opportunity as well. So I would say the best thing, if they want to continue with the inside or want to give that advantage, would be to sort of alternate. So they can have one draw for all program, one draw or other only for federal skilled worker. Then why include the CEC if you're going to give them anyways? But either which ways, I think it sort of offsets. If they're going to have a alternate draw, 1 week CEC, 1 week all program, 1 week CEC, 1 week all program, or 2 weeks, 2 weeks kind of a thing, or whatever they can do to alternate that, I think that sort of takes care of both program classes for the time being, until they can then come to a decision of doing an all program draws only. But I personally, my opinion, if I was there in any kind of stakeholder meeting, I would definitely sort of promote that fair enough, you want to give this segment of your group some priority, but don't overlook this as well. I think this should have been put in place right from the beginning. I do not know who proposed this CEC, and it was nice, it was good, it made sense in the beginning. But very quickly, whoever gave those decisions, whoever made those decisions, whoever gave those suggestions, should have very quickly said that yes, in the beginning, let's say 5 draws, 4 draws, 8 draws, 10 draws, you can do CEC. Once things start easing out, you should start doing alternate, or you should do all program kind of a thing. But I think that was what went missing in that decision making process. But at 478, okay, I have a very very poor system set up today, so I cannot do a lot of screen sharing today. But let's see if I still can. uh, okay, let's skip that. We'll not do the screen share, but I'm sure if you just go back to your computer and you check the federal skilled worker draw pool, the pool breakdown of federal skilled worker, last I checked was 179,000, nearly 180,000 people in the express entry pool. Scores above 471 were nearly 22,000 profiles. That's a lot of profiles. 22,000 profiles above 471, considering the last CEC draw was at 460 something, 462, 460, yeah, 462 kind of a thing. Means there is no CECs. So all 471 above is all federal skilled worker or PNPs. Now, even if you remove PNPs, which are happening every few weeks, a few hundreds, that leaves with nearly 22,000 people, all federal skilled worker program candidates in the pool. Even if they are to conduct large size draws, which I don't expect them to conduct any big size mega draws of 7,000, 6,000, 5,000. I expect only this 3,500 kind of draws. Even if they have to conduct regular draws, okay, then also they need 6 draws to clear only 18,000 profiles. That is hypothetically speaking, if they were to do this kind of draws. How and when are they going to clear these profiles from the pool? This is looking a very hopeless situation. However, 478 still has a great chance. Again, what you need to pay attention is onto the pool breakdown. I think the scores above 481 is roughly in the range of 5,000-6,000. So even if you say 2 draws should clear out 481. Okay, I understand every single day new profiles come into the pool. I understand people are updating their scores, they're upgrading their scores, they're adding new factors to their application. But I think if at all program draws happen, 478 should be a possibility. Again, depending on how the pool breakdown is and how many invitations are issued by the 4th or the 5th draw. Okay, not this is all based on what the pool breakdown is looking at and how many invitations they will issue. But I would say that by the 4th draw, probably you should 4th, or worst case 5th draw, you should hit 478, largely speaking, because of the number of ITAs being issued. So what you can do is, now if you want to go for a study visa, the next intake is January, but it's already too close for January. I think most from whatever I understand from our education team, who where we assist students to get their admissions, I understand from them that most of the colleges have already closed program. Mind you, a lot of people are taking that route already. A lot of people are already fed up. They've already decided to take the route to come to Canada, study here, get your Canadian work experience, apply for PR if they have to. So the seats availability is already running quite low as far as Jan intake is concerned. You'll be lucky if you get an intake, if you get a seat at this point of time. The next would be May intake. Mind you, May intake usually is a start of certification programs or diploma programs. Most of the degree programs or the advanced diploma programs or a lot of other specialized programs do not start in May. They usually start either in September or January. So if you do not find your program of choice of May, you probably are looking in September. So let's say you find a program of choice in May. Go ahead and start your admission process. You don't have to spend any money except for the application fee that you will have to pay to the college. Get your admission letter, because it will take your time. It's not going to happen even if you were to apply today to a college. It will take you some time, let's say a month and a half, by the time they will give you the information. A lot of colleges haven't even started their intake process for May. They are still completing the Jan process. So you will have that gap before you can find what you're looking for May. And in the meantime, if the draws do happen or the draws start, then over a next one or two draws, you will be able to make a decision whether you want to continue with your situation with your college, or you want to continue that path, or you can sort of look forward to your federal skilled worker program draws and then go on from there. I know it was a long one, but I hope that gave you an answer. Sometimes I think I talk too much. Yeah, my wife says that as well. But then she's so fed up of me talking about, all these things all over the time. Okay, I'm looking for questions that caught eye and them at this point of bit of sense. Is soft landing allowed now? Well, yes, because soft landing is allowed because, on the IRCC website, soft landing is still discouraged. But the thing is that if you come to Canada and if you wish to travel after you've become a permanent resident, nobody can stop you. There is no exit check. There is no exit immigration. So technically, once you become a permanent resident, nobody can stop you. However, once you're coming to Canada and you come to Canada and you say the purpose of your visit and you say, well, I'm here only for soft landing, I will return back after one day, then you are leaving it open for the border officer to make a judgment call, because mind you, at the end of the day, the final discretion of allowing you to come to the country is still with the border officer. So the border officer has to be convinced that you're coming to Canada permanently, or you're coming to Canada, when you can avoid at this point of time because of COVID, you should not be traveling. So while IRCC is still on their website saying that soft landing is discouraged, you have to make a judgment call. Bharat says, thank you for super chat, Bharat. My wife applies under CEC and I am outland spouse. IRCC requested for IMM 5562 for travel history. Which stage is it and when can we expect, what can we expect next? Well, this should probably be about your background checks, because I'm assuming the eligibility is already met. They probably want to sort of tally some information with your travel and your personal history. What can you expect next? Well, I'm hoping if they're all satisfied with your background checks and they can initiate your security, well, then as and when they are deciding to finalize your application, you will then be able to expect your passport request. Okay. Oh, what happened? Rahul, I'm 38 years old, CA by profession, CRS is 418. In your opinion, what are the chances of PNP? Renowned agent in India will create EE profile but won't give me access to it. Okay, ask the renowned agent, what is he proposing for you? Express entry for 418 has no chance. And I'm saying it with so much of this thing, with no chance, is because look at the number of profiles that are there in the pool. There is no way IRCC is going to conduct thousands and thousands and thousands of invitations in the same draw. Yes, they did that for CEC. Okay. And probably that was a freak thing that will always live in the history of Canadian immigration. I don't see any incentive, motivation, or agenda for them to do such a big draw for express entry. Number one. Number two, with 418, what are we looking at? You're looking at Ontario, possibly. But again, your knock code of 1111, Ontario with 418 also is not possible. Okay, I shouldn't be using the word as not possible because I don't know. I'm not here to be making the decisions, right? So unlikely or challenging is the word here. What you should be looking at is how you can improve your scores from 418. Number two, you have to looking at different PNP options. And number three is whoever that renowned agent is, withdraw your profile, because you can handle it yourself. You don't have to spend money, because this profile at this point of time, anytime soon, is not going anywhere unless you're looking at Saskatchewan, where your scores, if you are 38 years old and if you have a master's degree, CLB9, your scores is going to be 68. 68, again, 68 has hit in Saskatchewan, not many times, but it has hit. But I'm not sure about the knock 1111. So check Saskatchewan. Ontario is not looking to pick at 418 anytime soon because there are just so many profiles in the pool. Nova Scotia has picked 1111, mind you, in the past, and there was no criteria for score. But Nova Scotia, we don't know when they will wake up and start doing. So Nova Scotia is a possibility there. Alberta, again, I haven't heard Alberta picking the knock 1111. They did pick 1311 several times. They have yet, at least I haven't heard of knock 1111 being picked by Alberta. There, Alberta is also an option, but again, provinces like Nova Scotia and Alberta is like a lottery. Is like, like, I mean, if it happens, uh, uh, bend down, kiss the ground, pray to the God, thank Lord for all the mercy and blessings, and then just happily accept it and move on. But can you pin your expectation, your hope, and say, okay, I'm going to get it from this one and happen? Well, I would say not so much. So save your money, don't spend your money with this, whoever this renowned agent is, and probably do some more research, figure out how you can improve your scores, and then take it from there. Okay, Ritika. Oh, Ritika Bajaj, I can't find your question. Just give me a moment. Ritika Bajaj, I can't find your question. Sort of. Hold on. Rajavil, thank you for super chat. They have stopped processing completeness check on Outland PNP application submitted after April. No bill. Still any idea on this change of their behavior? Well, I was told about this some time back. Honestly speaking, some of my applications that I've submitted, I did receive my R10 checks, so I am not sure why in several applications this is happening. And I know this is happening since April, because in our last conversation also this was being brought up. No, I do not, honestly speaking, I do not know why they have stopped any kind of R10 checks at this point of time. You can only raise a web form and ask them what's going on over there. But no, there has been no specific information that has come as to what exactly is going on. RP says, my brother applied for TR to PR using an email ID different from email ID which he used to make for a CIC account. Will it cause a problem? No, it will not cause a problem. Whatever is on the record, you will receive your information on that. Udit Jariwala, sorry, thank you for the super chat, but there is no question. I'm sorry about, I can't read, there's nothing there. Aman Goyal, my CRS score is 478, which will further reduce to 473. Should I wait or go for study visa? Aman, I have just answered that question in detail. So I think you could sort of, rewind this thing a bit and go through that question. Ritika Bajaj, thank you for super chat. My work permit under GTS, my 4-year daughter visitor visa is pending. I'm in Canada, but she's in India. Filed new application, new update, can file study permit. Okay, if you have filed for a new visit visa application already, I think you should just wait. Because filing a new study permit application is not going to, get this processed anytime fast or soon. You could probably just wait to get your study permit your visit visa decision, and then if you filed for visit visa earlier, before the 7th of September, then I recommend that you do submit a new visit visa application so that you can get a decision faster. Sid says, can I pay my tuition fee by gifting 4 hybrid breed cows and 2 mountain goats to my university? My friend, I'm not sure. I think you're on a wrong channel today, or you probably are eating something which you shouldn't be eating. I would recommend that to get the answer to this question, you should head over to the nearest doctor probably, and try and figure out which kind of cows and which kind of goats are exactly bothering you. And do you even have cows and goats? And if you do, please feel free to post a picture. We'll be happy to take a look. And I could offer to sort of buy those goats and cows off you, and probably do something about that. And I might not pay all your tuition fee, probably look at paying some percentage of your tuition fee. Okay, we'll just take last couple of questions and then we go. Harsh Truth says, it makes all sense for IRCC to conduct knock specific draws. Being young does not address the skill gap, but having experience does. Well, I would, as I said, there are several changes in plan. I As I said, I expect a lot of changes coming forward. But next year we'll decide how those changes play out, what is the sense, what is the logic behind it, and what would be the repercussions of those changes. There's no point of speculating at this point of time, because honestly, our speculation would have nothing, or rather no basis. It would just primarily be, out of these threads of information that could unnecessarily create rumors and panic. So let's not do that. We'll just wait and see what the news comes out with. NOC 2021 has already been announced, so that will definitely come into play. How will the NOC 2021 affect express entry, or the way the processing happens, or the selections or eligibility criteria happen? That is something which I personally am concerned about with this new introduction of tier 3 which has happened, because it does sort of segregate a lot of NOC Bs into tier 3. So that would be the only concern I have at this point of time. Selecting specific NOCs for express entry, well, that is something which I thought always made sense, because that then gives a lot of importance to people who have the experience but are losing points on age. You see, in this kind of a process, in this kind of a program, in this kind of a draw, in this kind of a system, there will always be people who will win, and there'll be people who will lose out. Because, for example, if today the draw happens at 481, there will be obviously people who will win with 481 plus, but there will be people at 481 with the tiebreaker rule who will lose out, and there will be somebody who's happy. Even at the score of 75 CRS, can you believe it? At the score of 75 CRS, which happened on the 13th of February, there were people who lost out. Okay, how ridiculous is that? So there will always be people who will lose out. There will always be people who will win. And in the sense, like, if they do this NOC specific draws, people who will win would be people who have the experience in those occupations but not have the age points. People who will lose will be basically be the ones who will not have that NOC. So it sort of balances out, and we hope and pray that in due course of time we sort of look at what is the complete or the holistic approach that they adopt, or we hope that they adopt a holistic approach. Kubeir, thank you for the super chat. What are my chances with federal scale invitation? I honestly would ask you to take a look at the Ontario website. Okay, see how the sun is coming on my head now? It looks like I have a halo on my head. Okay, take a look at the Ontario website. If they continue to do the HCP draws at 467 currently, yes, it looks quite it looks quite well, and you will probably have a good chance with the next draw. But if they do an all program draw now, if they were to do an all program draw now, sorry about that. Yeah, better. So if they were to do an all program draw now, the upper limit would go up, and because of the upper limit jumping up, the lower limit will also go up, and they will, and 467 at this point of time might lose out. So in your favor, you should be hoping that all program draws don't start anytime soon, and they do conduct a HCP tech draw. Well played. My respect to you. Do forgive me for trolling. You are forgiven, Sid. Just make sure that the cows and the goats are well fed, my friend. Okay, last question, and then off we go, because hey, don't forget, I'm still on a short leave, and I don't want to get beaten up by everybody else here. Kiran says, is there any chances to extend PGWP or spouse work permit after the validity time? If yes, then please explain the process. Well, postgraduate work permits could have been extended until the 27th of July, which was the provision given under the COVID protocol. Technically, a postgraduate work permit cannot be extended. It's given to you only once in a lifetime. It's given only once. Once you've got it, it cannot be extended. You can apply for an extension, so you will get a few weeks, months time on the implied status while the application is being processed, but technically you cannot get a postgraduate work permit extended unless you were given a shorter validity date in the first place because of your passport expiring. In that situation, yes, you would get an extended date, but under normal circumstances, you would not get an extended date. Well, that's all from me today. Thank you so much for joining in. If you wish to speak to me one-on-one, discuss your application, then that's the link to book an appointment. And don't forget to sort of subscribe to us on this channel. That's the button here. Subscribe the button. Do share the video if you think it was of any interest, and obviously follow us on Instagram. And that's just about all I have for today. Thank you very much for joining in. I shall see you next time. Take care.